Hi everybody, welcome back to another colored pencil time-lapse drawing video here. And this video is of a Jaguar car, sports car. I believe it's the F-Type series, if I remember correctly. And these are actually pictures, reference photos that I've taken myself of the car for my customer here. So we start off with the rim of the wheel, and some of the colors I use, obviously, I have like a black that I use to really darken the spaces in between the rims, because like these rims were, I'm not gonna lie, were a little challenging to kind of see in the picture. So you really have to kind of just take your time and look at the picture for a bit, and then kind of space out your drawing first before you really lay down any harsh lines, any solid lines. And I have some gold, light blue, really a small hint of purple in there, a gray, and I was able to kind of squeeze in the little itty bitty logo in there. Obviously you can't, like in the picture you can't read it, so I'm not going to try to squeeze in whatever image it was on there. I'm assuming it was probably just the Jaguar head logo, but so that's what we were able to do. Get the tire on there. Again, it's not trying to kind of go too crazy with the tire. Have some detail on there because the main focus is going to be the car itself, though you still want the tire to be relatively in in, in enough detail that like when you walk by it you should be like, whoa, you know what I mean. Okay, so for this video I wanted to kind of explain a general idea of what I am doing. So he wanted a kind of more of a cool color, because I sent him two different versions. I had like a warm setting on the pictures and I had a kind of a cooler setting on the pictures, and he liked the cooler setting, so I'm gonna have a little bit more purples in here, like maybe use some dark purple definitely, and some dark umber. I know the umber can be warm or cool, just kind of depends on how you use it. I also didn't want to go too crazy with how much actual detail was on the reflections on the side of the car. So like in the picture you could see the gravel road or the grass, and well, I was like, well, I didn't want to sit there and draw each individual grass strand, you know? So it's just the idea that there is like something reflecting off of the side of the car that gives it that curvature. So when you guys draw any kind of shiny object, the main point is not what it is, it's how you draw those lines or shapes on that surface to give it the illusion that it is round and reflective, or whatever kind of curve that it may have, or even angle, you know, if you have more of a rough looking subject that you're doing. So we decided to go with, I believe this is a 3/4 view, the quarter view turn with the car. And I suggested actually turning the wheels because to me that looks really sporty, like when your wheels are kind of popped like that. So that's the choice that we made with the wheels. I think it looks really cool, so it's not just like a car sitting there, because it looks like you kind of just pull it up, or he's pulling up and you're just really, whoa. My other technique that I use here on these car drawings is I do use mineral spirits, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sit here and layer and layer and layer and layer to get a really smooth feel, because the mineral spirits are also going to help prevent a lot of the car from physically shining itself. Like if you burnish so hard into your paper, you're going to get that kind of shimmer gleam from the actual natural light that you might hang it up, and I didn't want that. So, and it also made it went by faster too. One thing that you could do instead of doing colored pencil, I have been exploring some watercolor, I could have easily done like a red base on everything, like a really light red base. That just would have helped speed up things, but I knew I was going to use my mineral spirits anyway, so I just wanted to do just colored pencil with this, and then maybe next time I might explore doing a little bit of like a watercolor underbase. Though, actually for Christmas, I did get some Derwent Inktense pencils, and I'm sure one of those colored pencils, I have a red. I have an array of colors that they got me, but I'm pretty sure I have a red that I could have used for this. Um, but I haven't explored it enough, so I at the moment not comfortable using on commissions. But it's definitely something I'm thinking about. The windows were interesting because in the picture you can still see through the window a little bit, even though there's the sky and sun reflections on them. And I, on the first car, I did kind of go pretty easy on the side window here, and then when we go into the windshield, you'll see that I was able to get some of the cloud reflections on there, and as if you can see just a little bit inside the vehicle, so like you can see the car seat shadow in there and stuff like that. So once we get there. For my mineral spirits, I also chose to use a brush instead of the little paper roll, the little blendy roll. It's easier to clean the brush than that blendy roll, honestly. The only thing with the brush is that it only holds so much mineral spirits, so it does dry out a little bit quicker, but which is fine because I didn't want all my colors to bleed. I just wanted to kind of smooth them out. So that was uh, the reasoning behind the paintbrush. Or if anyone's thinking about like, why well, use the blending stump? If you use a blending stump with mineral spirits, you could get more of a fuzzy look to it versus more like smoothing out like a paint look, if that makes sense to you guys. So, but you can experiment on a piece of paper, just kind of do like a little small section and see which one you like, or if like, well, this looks the same to me, then pick whichever one is your favorite to use. But like I said, the paintbrushes are easier to clean out. So like if I was doing black, I could clean that way faster than like I could just wipe it off a couple times and then go and do over like a red section and vice versa. So some tips that I guess I can go over what I have found helpful for me was on the lighter sections, definitely putting a layer of white or a really light pink down so that when I went to go blend over, the darker colors didn't bleed into areas that didn't have any pigment into it. So it all just made like a nice smooth transition. Same thing with the windshield. So see, I'm putting in a base here. I had white, light blue, and I mapped out some of the darker colors. And then I went in and really darkened things up, did another layer, let that dry, go back in, do another layer, kind of just keep adding and adding until you feel like, okay, I feel pretty confident with this. So you can see I got like the actual kind of more cloud color in there. And then on the hood, so you can see I have taped around because I was afraid to smear my colored pencil, so you can always go back in and kind of clean them up. But knowing that I have mineral spirits already on part of this vehicle, if my hand were to kind of keep smudging up against it, it can, that especially red dye, right? Red can easily stain the side of your hand, and then all of a sudden you're gonna have red side handprints all over the bottom of your car. And I also didn't want to get it on because I also have the backside view of the car on the lower part of my paper. So with the hood here, this took me a couple days because it had all of those swirls on there and you just want to make sure that you connect them. I did generally have a map that what I call a map, where you use a graphite pencil or whatever you need to map out a general idea of all of the swirls. And then again, the important thing is connecting the swirl. So like if you look in the picture and you're like, okay, this purple line swirl in one part from start to finish ends here. And then like maybe on the next curve of the car, it's like, okay, it might not connect exactly where it ended on this part. It's up just a little bit. And you're going to start there because if you were to connect it in the wrong way, you're going to make the car hood or any part of this vehicle look flat. We don't want that. We want the angles, the curves, the shines, everything to be in retrospect to how this car actually looks in person. And again, I'm layering. I have pinks, purples, and that's what it looks like. So like when you guys go take pictures of cars, um, pay attention to the time of day it is. Is it at night? Did you take a night picture with all the lights on it? So you're gonna have tons of different like reflections on it. Your car's gonna be darker. Are you taking the picture during the day where the sun's out? So you're gonna have some like really light spots that might not be the same exact color of the car, but like the general idea of what color it is there. Does that make sense? So you have to kind of think about it. Are you going to take it inside with like a backdrop and softer lighting so that there's maybe a minimal color change to the car, but you're still going to have those really strong reflections on it? Which we did not have the ability to do that. I did not have a big enough. I mean, our garage is barely big enough to have just a couple storage items in it. So, but those are just things to think about, like, especially when you're taking the picture. So one thing that I noticed after I was actually getting done with this second card drawing at the bottom was that the top car, the front of it was more of a deeper red because the sun was behind us. Like when I was taking the car, it was on the other side, so the sun was facing me. If you imagine I'm taking the picture of the front of the car, the sun is facing me, if that makes sense. So it was behind the car. So then when I walked around and I took the picture from behind the car, the sun was behind me, if that makes sense. So the other car has a little bit more warmth to it, even though it's it's like taken about the same part, like literally the same time of day and whatnot. It just has a little bit more warmth to it because of how that sun was coming in and reflecting off of the back of the car. But you guys will see that because the front of the car, you can see here, has a little bit more of a darker red to it. And I've seen this car in person, and I have different reference photos too. So I feel as though I'm pretty on point with the color choices that I made. If anything, I feel like I could have. I didn't have a specific like colored pencil red that was like, I know I can mix colors, right? But I wish I would have had something, even like a different brand of colored pencil that was just like a little bit between the Crimson Lake and the Prismacolors and the what is it? Oh, now I'm gonna look. It's like one of those terracotta reds or something. Tuscan red. Between that and the Crimson Lake, like if I could have had one of those, that'd been good. But like mixing them helped, right? But like if I could have just had one as like a base color or something, and then I can mix in like, okay, this area's just a little bit warmer, or like mix in the dark purple in the area, like, okay, this is a little bit cooler here. So, but as long as you kind of follow closely to what you're doing, you will be fine. Okay, so the front of the grill, as we kind of already finished with it here in the video, what I did with the grill, because I know the mineral spirits, while it is still semi wet, not like soaking wet, but it's not completely dry yet. I took this like slate gray color. I think it's what it's called from the Prismacolor. You can take kind of just like any kind of like lighter colored pencil, and I layered it in black, and then I went over it once I had that layer of black in with that lighter color to get the honeycomb texture on there. Because the front of the grill is that new honeycomb. Instead of just like normal grill, they have this honeycomb in there, which it looks really cool. Don't get me wrong, but doing the colored pencil, I was like, hot dang! So I feel like I did a pretty good job with that too. Oh, on a side note, I'm hoping to get what's it called? It's like a camera converter for like your computer. There's like lack for a better term, it's a cam link, I believe, and it's supposed to be able to transmit a higher res video to my computer because from my camera directly to like my USB drive or whatever it is, it can only send in so much information, and that cam link is supposed to transmit the higher res. So like on my camera, I see a higher resolution than what my computer is picking up, or like whatever recording thing I'm using, because I have my recording set to a high res, but my computer cannot send in a high res. So I was wondering, I was like, well, heck, that's the whole reason. I was like, because like I got a better camera so that it would not only take really good pictures and good videos, but to do really good high res videos that like for my colored pencil stuff. And as I go through my video, I'm starting to notice some of my drawings I feel like are out of line. So just kind of bear with it. I'm sorry. I have so many different clips. I think I got maybe one or two like mixed up a little bit. It's all the same. If I accidentally repeat over something, you guys can kind of just skip over a little bit. Okay, so we're on to the next vehicle. Actually, I think my computer's just trying to keep up with the how the length of the videos and how fast I'm going. So we'll find out when I render it. I haven't rendered it yet. So I like to do the voiceovers and watch it and make sure, everything's right while I do the voiceovers for it. Okay, so for the second card, doing the same thing with the wheel. Now that I've already done like two wheels, I kind of know okay, I know it's like these two like prong wing things, and there's like however many of them, and then you just space them out evenly. So, and then like, okay, I know there's like nuggets here, the little bolts, and then there's like the little logo in the middle. So this one wasn't as bad. This one was very similar to the other wheel. It's just like this one was at a slight angle versus that back wheel in the top one. A little bit of gold in there. I did use this gold color from the Master's Fine Touch. If you guys are getting started in colored pencil, I would suggest, I'm not going to lie, Prismacolors are a really good starting point to get into. And then as you go on, if you're really weird about your colored pencils fading, you can get different brands of colored pencils, especially like certain colors that you use a lot that are quote unquote light fast. So they just fade a lot slower over time than like regular colored pencils. So like 50 years down the road, hopefully your colored pencil drawing looks the same, exactly the same as it did when you first sent it off. Though, to counteract that, I have not done enough research on this or whatever. If someone else wants to lay out the facts, I actually use a spray. You use like a spray at the end of your drawing that's supposed to help protect it. You can use a seal to help seal your drawing too. So you don't really have to go crazy and get all these light fast pencils, but if that's what concerns you, or if you have customers that are really concerned about it, you can tell them like, look, I have some that are like that, and like it's going to help prevent most of your drawing from fading, but like art, like everything fades over time. Nothing's truly permanent. You know what I mean? So I think that's like a general understanding between art and those who appreciate art, because they know art doesn't last forever. Though we try to make it, right? We can restore art, right? But that's the beauty of it, is that nothing lasts forever. So you can kind of already see that this car, the second car here, has more of a red tint to it. Like it's a little bit more warm in color. And as I was going through and doing this, I call it the hip of the car here, the hip of the car, the back fender. I didn't want it to be too pink, but like the picture, it was like, this is it, it's just reflecting the clouds and it's just pink. That's just kind of how it uh, came to be. So as I go through, you guys might see me kind of go back and touch up that area really fast with like maybe a slightly darker red, because I just, for some reason, my head was like, it just looks pink. And then sometimes you have to trust the process. It's like if you're not sure about an area, leave it for what it is. Just feel slightly, be like, okay, I'm kind of finished, but I'm not sure if I'm 100%. I don't want to lock everything in quite yet. Go and try to do some more of like the next part of your subject. So I ended up doing the top of the car, the back windshield, and once I kind of got those in, I was like, okay, I'm doing okay. And I started doing the next bottom part of the car, and things started to tie in a little bit better once I got that done. So don't give up quite early until you kind of put some more pieces together. So it's like when you start a puzzle and you're like, oh no, I'm missing a piece. Do you give up? Or do you like, well, I can't find it right now, but I bet if I put some other pieces together, I will find the piece that fits my missing hole here, right? So that's kind of what I like to think about the colored pencil drawing, is like you're putting together a puzzle, like like it's like a mystery, right? You're like, okay, I know what color I see, but how do I make that color? How do I put it together to make the image that I see onto paper? You know what I mean? Same thing with like painting. Like it's just you're just trying to get that image onto something else, whether it be a flat 2D object and you're trying to make it look 3D, or you're trying to make something from other objects into a 3D object. So like the car itself to me is art, right? And then it's like, well, I'm making art from art. I just think that's cool. Okay, so I get the back windshield on very similar to how I do the front windshield. I try to kind of match the colors that I use. I almost forgot because it had been a while. I actually was sick for a week because otherwise I was actually planning to get all of this done before Christmas. So I'm already like a week or so behind. Um, and the video obviously now is a week behind. But it's all good. Kind of taking a couple days off, trying to get this video done. I have taken a small break from the watercolor only because, like I said, well, first of all, holidays were coming up and whatnot, and I just didn't have time to. I really wanted to get this drawing done, so by the time I started working on this and got done, I really didn't want to get set up for watercolor and then make a video and then because like we had been working some overtime. It's like, oh man, like now I only have like 4 hours to chill because like I already done all this art stuff, which don't get me wrong, it's nice and relaxing, but there are other things that I do enjoy as well. And knowing that I have already sent out so many videos in the watercolor, I felt that I could enjoy those other hobbies, little other hobbies that I like to do. Like I do have a couple games I like to play, or take the dog out and adventure with the doggy, things like that. Get food ready for the week. Once I start the back of the car here, his license plate, I thought it was funny. Growlin is his license plate. So I do have to say, I think I'm getting close to just letting the rest of the video play out for itself. So just enjoy the rest of the video. Like I said, like I use mineral spirits for this definitely to get more of a smooth texture from my colored pencil. So I didn't burnish into my paper or ruin the tooth of my paper, so I could go back in and add over top if I needed to. Also, when you guys do any kind of small details, take your time. If you need a ruler, use a ruler. Pretty sure I used a old gift card to help line up the license plate a little bit better. And take your time. If you think you need a break or something, go take like a 5-10 minute break. Or if you're like, you know what, I'm just not feeling it today, then don't draw. Go do something else. Or it's like just whatever you need to do to finish your project is what works best for you. So I'm excited to hand this off to my customer, and I know they're going to be stoked. He loves this car. So anyway, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one. Enjoy the rest of the video.